There's been a ton of bank runs lately. We've seen First Republic go down, Silicon Valley Bank, Credit Suisse, and who knows which bank is next, because there's been a lot of trouble in that whole industry. And one thing we know about when there's trouble in the industry is it makes new innovation come out. But what is that new innovation? So people have been saying that we're going to introduce a CBDC, and that might be the thing to change everything for the economy, change everything for the world, literally. But is it crypto, right? Because it's going to be either CBDC or crypto, or will they coexist? And we're going to attack that today. And if you don't know what a CBDC is, Newski right now is about to break it down for you. So make sure y'all stay to the end, because this is literally revolutionary.
Yeah, but that was a great job introducing it, bro. So we're going to share a bunch of links and everything will be in the description like always. So make sure y'all follow along, but let's just dive right in, right? So we will be showing you the first thing, which is what is CBDC. So as you see, CBDC is a central bank digital currency. And now I'm going to show you guys the technical definition, which might seem confusing, but we're going to have AI, chat, GPT basically solve everything for us, right? So the first thing is first, the CBDC is a form of a fiat currency issued by the central bank of various countries. A fiat currency is considered any form of currency that is not backed by an underlying physical commodity. Right? So that is in a nutshell what CBDC is. And the other thing you have to think about is this fiat currency is issued by the central bank in a form of a token, right? It's currency, it's digital, it's not physical. That's what you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, because and just to say, like, fiat currency, for example, is like the US dollar. That's fiat currency. Newski's just talking about a digital version of that. That's all.
Yep. And that's literally why I go over here. So I took this definition, I put it in the chat GPT, and I was like, yo, can you simplify this? It gave me this, which is almost the same thing. But then I said, can you explain to a fifth grader? So even easier right now for you guys, right? So CBDC, which is obviously central bank digital currency, is like money that you can use on your computer or your phone. It's made by a special group called the central bank that keeps track of money in a country. This digital money is not backed by anything physical like gold or silver, but instead it's still worth something just because the central bank said so. All right. So it's just like regular money, but you can use it online and it's tied to the money used in your own country. So that is the very simple definition for you guys. But one thing we also have to understand is before we start talking about what we, if we agree or not, there's two different types of CBDCs, right? There's a wholesale CBDC, which would primarily be used by the financial institutions, such as banks. The use of the CBDC would allow banks to make payments in a quicker and more automated manner, right? So right now, it's basically like, yo, I have to send money to Rel if he's a bank and I'm a bank, and we have to wait for transactions. No, with CBDC, since it's digital, it would happen right away. And obviously, if I'm sending money across the country or to a different country, it's much easier bank to bank. Now, retail, as you could imagine, would not be used for banks. It would be used by individuals. People could use this as a digital cash. Like think about like Square, basically Cash App or Venmo, but digital cash with the comfort of knowing that this currency is issued and backed by the country's central bank. So it's very clear to understand what the CBDC actually means and how there's two different types. So now that you guys got that understanding, I really want to talk about, Rel, do you think this makes sense, right? Like, do you agree with the CBDC approach, or do you disagree with, okay, should this be a part of the future?
Man, honestly, bro, I can't lie to you, not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. Not a fan at all of the CBDC thing, bro, because what it is going to allow them to pretty much spy on us all day. Like, let's think about this, right? If the central bank is the one issuing this currency, they now are keeping track of all of the transactions that we make on a daily basis. So even jobs like, I remember when I was younger, for example, I used to work at this restaurant and I would deliver for them. But I was getting paid cash under the books. I ain't had to pay taxes on it. Listen, don't snitch on me. I don't want y'all.
Yeah, guys, I gotta get out of here. My partner's a thief.
I might have just packed my own self up.
Yeah, nah, this is insane.
Free read for real, but I was getting paid under the books, right? So, but things like that can't happen anymore, because if we're entering a cashless society where everything is done through CBDCs, through on a digital ledger like that, then at this point, they know exactly what we're spending on. So here's another issue with that. Now, if they know exactly what we're spending on, they can now, if you get into trouble, say, hey, we're going to suspend your accounts. You didn't pay your traffic ticket. You know what I mean? You were, so let's say people owe their state some type of money, they can literally suspend your accounts. You have no freedom. You're actually literally susceptible to whatever they want to restrict you on. So that's a huge drawback from CBDCs. And I could say more, but I'll let you respond to that at least.
Yeah, my first actually counter is I think the opposite. What you just said, yes, I hear you on that. And being someone who runs a business, I understand that concept, right? However, I think it's actually kind of good that it's tracked digitally, right? Because what that allows us to do is now we know, and basically we know where our dollar is going. Every single dollar we could track, it can be audited, and it's regulation put around it. So there's kind of two sides to that. I see what you're saying with the fact that you can't do under the books anymore and you're going to be regulated in every single aspect. But there's also a pro to that kind of reduces fraud in a way. There's less fraud that could take part because we know where the money is going.
I mean, you could say less fraud, but at the same time, it also leaves us susceptible to like hacks. This is all now, everything is digital. So that cybersecurity issue is now more prominent.
Yeah, but that's also kind of already here. You know what I mean? Like, yes, like cybersecurity has been a thing. Banks are already getting hacked. So my thing is, if CBDC is going to be a part of the future and is going to be implemented, it won't be implemented right away, one. So the cybersecurity will only continue to get stronger and stronger as time goes on, because we'll be using an approach where we have a CBDC while we have the regular dollar, which is like a physical dollar. And as we continue to move forward in time, we're going to be doing it together, like in parallel. And that's what I'm assuming. I actually have an article that I would pull up, but it's basically talking about how we would go step by step while we still have the physical dollar, and the cybersecurity part of it will only continue to get stronger.
Yeah, but I think when it comes to cybersecurity, like just as cybersecurity gets stronger, so do hackers. And so I think we're always gonna have that battle between like, are we strong enough on the cybersecurity side? So
that's what they could use as a blockchain, though, right? That's the whole piece. If they put this on the blockchain, it kind of strengthens that piece.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it could happen. And so if you want our entire economy dependent on, hopefully we don't get hacked, that's a dangerous place to put the country in my opinion.
I agree with that. That's why I'm not a proponent of saying that it should just be a CBDC. I think they go hand in hand, which is why I'm saying you got to have pieces to both.
But I think the goal right now is they're trying to get to a cashless society, and that's what people are against, is having a cashless society. Because if they're hand in hand, like, okay, we're kind of like not really that far from where we are today. But the thing is, when the only currency that's available is the digital currency. So if you have dollars that's no longer worth anything, that's the society people don't want to get to. And on top of that, here's another thing. If people are like, if the central bank is providing that, right, people will start to not really want to use banks, because at a point we're going to know that you can just go straight to the central bank to get your currency. The central bank will be the sole person distributing currency. And so that actually takes business away from like banks and private institutions, like private banks, and like commercial banks. Because at a point it's like, would you want to keep your money through like a bank where you can have bank runs, or you're going to just go straight to the central bank? Because at a point, the central bank will be the number one place that's providing currency to the society.
Yeah, no, I see the middleman of the bank would be removed, which is the whole piece that we have for crypto, right? That's the strength of crypto. It's reducing and removing the middleman, which is the bank. But I think with the only issue with CBDC that I could see is, since it's centralized and it's not decentralized, yes, that could be an issue with the central banks because they control everything. Don't get me wrong. The power would definitely be in the central bank. However, I do think it has other pros. So like if I share my screen right now, right? Yeah. I actually want to pull this up. So essentially, if you're looking at this, there's a bunch of different things that you guys could check out, right? So increased payment efficiency. I don't think that's an argument. I think you're going to be way more efficient than you are with physical dollars. That's just not something we could argue. You would complement current forms of money and financial services because, once again, you're able to send money to different banks and different institutions instantly.
Yeah.
That's part of the digital. I do think the crime would actually go down because now you're able to audit everything. You're able to track everything. I think basically drug money is not going to be a thing anymore because
Yeah.
now you have the ability to just track that piece, right? Also, the international movement behind money. If I wanted to send money to different, like if I want to send money to India, you want to send money to Jamaica, we want to send money anywhere across the world, like Europe even. Boom, done. You know what I mean? And it could help because think about it, Russia and Ukraine are having a war right now. US wants to send that money. We don't have to worry about that piece. So I think there's pros and cons around it. Don't get me wrong. I hear the cybersecurity part of it, but that's why this is like, shout out to McKinsey on this. Actually, they did something really cool, guys. So what they did was, if you look at it, right? So this is the article. Let me just scroll up for you guys. Central banks, digital currency, an active role for commercial banks. So this basically, McKinsey, if you guys don't know, is one of the largest consulting firms in the world. So they wrote this piece on what this actually means and what digital currency will be doing as a part of everything we're talking about right now. But if you come down here, it's talking about how it's basically talking about how this would happen in parallel, right? So CBDC deployment can be achieved in 3 years by applying an agile. So what that means is you're doing it step by step kind of thing. You're just not waiting for it to just put it all at once, right? So you would explore it, right? Explore and research the need and flexibility or feasibility of launching this currency. Then you would design and test it. You would see what the functions are, what the feature are, what the underlying technology is, which is what my point was, bro, where the cybersecurity piece, this is where we would start figuring this out. The implementation side of it, like how can we implement this? How does this make sense? And then scaling it up to see, okay, this is the part where it's like, well, we're going to start leaning towards CBDC more than the actual physical money, right? But it would happen in parallel. And the same thing over here, like central banks that apply 8 best practices can improve the chances of CBDC adoption. So I won't go into this part, but definitely something y'all should read on this.
But like, see, I can't subscribe to us just allowing them to be in control of everything. I don't even trust, and I don't think we should trust the central bank to just be in full control of everything and completely rip us off of our freedom. Like, I think that cash allows us to have some level of privacy and freedom with our money that we earn, instead of having everything tracked by the central bank and them knowing every single penny we spend, who I sent it to, when I did it, what I bought, what I sold. That's not it. I can't subscribe to that. And that leads to things like corruption. So for example, the Nigerian government, they have a CBDC, right? But they're having a hard time like getting it fully adopted because of actually competition with crypto, which we're going to get into. But I want to say, for example, the Nigerian government, they were forcing banks to block donations to end SARS, the end SARS movement. The Nigerian government was blocking banks to the end SARS movement regarding police brutality. All right. And that's like, the thing is, when you have CBDCs, you're giving the government the ability to literally block you from using your money.
They already do that.
But cash allows you to get around that.
Of course, I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm saying that this would they would have to do a system where it works in parallel. That's my issue. They would have to do it in parallel, and then eventually it takes over, which is what this point kind of says, like the scale up point.
But everybody's worried about the end result, not the journey there. Everybody's trying to say we can't go cashless. That's the thing. We don't want to go cashless, which is the goal.
And I see, that's the point I'm trying to say. Like, I think that goal would be determined right here in this area, right? Like these 3 areas that they have, because they're not going to be able to go cashless if it doesn't work. That's the point that designing and testing is going to go. We're already assuming the worst, but it's like, we're going to have to go down this path. They're already doing it. Venmo's already tracking everything that you spend. Square's already doing it.
But I ain't go. Yeah, but there's also ways to go around
it. Of course.
But I'm saying, you got to think about whatever the central bank wants is what's going to happen. To be honest, whatever the government wants is what's going to happen. Because if the government literally says, "Yo, cash doesn't mean anything anymore. It's not worth it," I don't care how much the citizens have an uproar. If your bank is not accepting cash no more, nobody's going to take your cash. So what business is going to take $1 from you if when they go to put it in the bank, they're not going to get nothing back?
And that's the piece of crypto. That's where crypto comes in. You know what I'm saying?
And we definitely I want to say one more thing before we touch on the crypto real quick, is like something that China did. China has a social credit system that determines your access to certain services based on their digital currency. So basically, they're tracking how you spend, your shopping habits, your political views, your work history. So China literally takes all that data and then they limit you on what you could spend on, and they literally like restrict you on multiple things. So we don't know if America will take that action. You don't know till it's here, but they shouldn't even have the ability to even go down that path.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes America America, right? Like we're not a communist society, we're a democratic country. So that piece is different. It's all going to be based on democracy, which I completely understand, which is why I don't think it's just going to be, yeah, the government does what they do. I just don't see that ever happening, which is why I'm not so against it, because I'm like, I think in parallel it would work and they would never be able to get it to a completely cashless society. I know that's the goal. I just don't think it would happen. And I think also
if they do, would you agree?
No, I wouldn't agree to it but I think it's going to happen, and that's where the crypto part comes in. And I don't want it to happen. I want it to be a part where you still have CBDC, you still have crypto, and you still have the dollar. But I think people will rely on digital currency. I don't think there should be a need where you don't rely on digital currency, because it is very helpful still. It makes businesses a lot easier to function.
Yeah. If you're able to have both, I hear you.
That's my point. Yeah, I don't think there will be ever a society where we just say, like, actually, I'm lying. I think eventually there will be. However, when we get to that point, the problem will be solved because the people won't accept it.
The people aren't going to have no choice, though.
I think they will. I think they will. I really do think so. Because at the end of the day, this country's ran on businesses, and businesses are not going to want their cash just to be gone. And the largest people in this country are business owners. They're not going to sit there and let the government do what they do.
I don't know.
I just don't see it. But let's move on to the crypto side of things. What do you have for crypto?
So on crypto, I just wanted to show everybody basically what's been going on with crypto. Y'all can see we've showed charts before, so you guys should know, like, you could pretty much follow the direction. Even if I were to go ahead and put this on a line chart, you guys can go ahead and see that this represents the price movement of Bitcoin. I'm looking at Bitcoin. So as the line goes down, the price of Bitcoin is going down. So you can see Bitcoin hit all the way down here around 16,000, 15,000 even. And then it started moving up. And towards the right side of the screen is our most recent price data. So we saw ever since the banks went on that run in mid-March, Bitcoin rose all the way up. And we're up here. Bitcoin hit as high as about over 28,000. Within the past few days. So now at this point, it's like, how high will Bitcoin go? Because what people are doing is noticing that the banking industry is under fire, and people are like losing faith in our central banks, especially with the fact that the central bank keeps raising interest rates and killing the banks. People are like, yo, I'm not trusting the US dollar so much. Let me go over to something like Bitcoin or crypto. So they've had a big run just now, as you guys see in the price action. And my thing is, if we do go to a CBDC type of economy where we're just fully cashless and we're CBDC, crypto will really boom. So if you guys think that's the direction of the country, where they're going to implement a cashless society, crypto is going to be here to stay. For a fact, you can see it in Nigeria. As I said, they were having problems with their CBDC because their citizens were actually pretty much fighting against it because of how corrupt the government is with their CBDC, that the citizens pretty much started just only using crypto. And then what Nigerian government do, they were telling the banks to like stop supporting crypto. So the banks had to stop supporting crypto, but people are always going to find their ways to use crypto. So I think that might even happen here, because there will be a huge pushback if we go fully cashless. Huge pushback, and people will just start only transacting in crypto. They'll find ways, trust me.
No, I don't disagree with that. That's literally the whole point. That's why I don't think we're gonna go fully CBDC without the people's approval. And the people will never approve until we get to the point that it makes sense for them as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the crypto piece, I'm a big believer in crypto. I said this multiple times. I know Rel is too. If you're listening right now and you don't think crypto will boom, let us know why. Let us know your thoughts on it. But personally, I think if you're investing in the best crypto, it's a great thing right now. And especially with the whole economy, especially with the way the banks are actually going about their business right now, you want to invest in something that is decentralized at the end of the day.
Yeah. You need that. We need that freedom. This is what it's all about. Like, cash right now provides people that type of freedom. Everybody just doesn't want their privacy impeded on. That's all.
That's a fact. But at the end of the day, this was the episode, right? We want to talk about CBDC. We want to talk about crypto. We want to talk about how the banks are basically doing their business right now and how there might actually be a bigger collapse that we're waiting on. And if that collapse does happen, ladies and gentlemen, we probably will be going to CBDC and or crypto. So let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you agree or disagree. If you're still watching, we appreciate you. Thank you. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Plus hit that little notification bell because we drop
2 videos a week.
You don't want to miss them. If you're still watching, make sure you actually watch our last episode. It was amazing. We talked a lot about the economy and the banks, and you don't want to miss it. So check that out. But we will catch you on Monday. Until then, peace.
Peace.
Soundstripe.